Gales from the state of Utah. Santa Clara opens things up to Robinson. Bauer sets Ballard. Fingertips on that. No problem for St. Mary's. The Gales respond and do so convincingly. Brianne Ashley with the first kill of the match.
And if we remember, you recognize that name, Parker. Sierra Parker played libero for BYU. And now her sister playing the Gales and setting for them, doing an excellent job.
Here is Parker. Right back to Maddie Robinson. Bauer goes to Ballard again off those high hands. Kept up for the moment and down for the first BYU kill. 1-1 in set number 1. And you talk about Sierra Parker, that's not just any volleyball player for BYU. We're talking about one of the all-time great players in the history of BYU women's volleyball. So an outstanding lineage in that family. Mary Lake, overpass and tapped down by Robinson for the easy overpass kill. Cougars lead 2-1.
For BYU to come out strong with the serve and be on the attack, like we see Mary Lake forcing that overpass, BYU wants to ensure that they are the ones on the offensive.
Lake with the spin off the tape, and she's got herself an ace. First ace of the match goes to the BYU senior defensive specialist, Team USA senior national team member, and she's looking for more. Free ball back to the Cougars. Actually a pretty good shot, all things considered. Robinson lines it up and brings the hammer. 4-1 BYU.
Terrific up, Riley Lyman. You see coming forward that off-speed shot. Almost caught the Cougars there in the middle of the floor, but not only did Lyman pop it up, it's a perfect pass. They were able to transition outside to Robinson.
Lake still on that service line. BYU up 3 early in set number 1. Dig by Bauer down the line. Bump set from Lake. Robinson again. And a response from St. Mary's. And that'll go as a point for Ashley. Not the prettiest, but it counts all the same. And the nice dig to set that up for the Gales.
Right, great opportunity and some net play where Robinson kind of lost sight of the ball a little bit. And St. Mary's has another chance to even this up.
Robinson. There is another dig, that one from Ashley. So BYU will reset. Robinson again, and that one is out and wide right. For the Gales, this is what they do. This is what they did against BYU in Moraga. They just kind of scrapped and hung around, eventually taking 2 of the 3 sets, 2 extra points. Brianne Ashley, nearly an ace. Robinson with the tip shot. Now an opportunity for the Gales. There's the big BYU block. Robinson and Heather Knighting team up and bail out BYU's offense.
And that was a bailout because BYU on the defensive for sure, but Robinson in great position, takes away that line shot and gets the ball back.
First block of the match for BYU. Cross court set, off hands and handled from Baca, and now Robinson will try and go line and hits that one wide left. Point back to the Gales, 5-4 in set number 1.
And a couple unforced errors for BYU keeps St. Mary's in this match as Robinson just missing that line.
Now a substitution as Taylor Ballard leaves the match for the moment. The Gales and Aubrey Pitts serving, trying to even this up at 5. Knighting working out of the middle off the quick set, hard off the block and out for a kill.
Great set from Bauer. She was off the net, well off the 3-meter line, and still is able to get it to her middle. Knighting stays open to her setter, allowing her to feed her the ball.
Taylor Tausinga into the match for the first time. She will serve in this rotation. Abby Dayton also on the floor. Tausinga's serve goes to Ashley. Tausinga trying to keep that ball up, and Dayton couldn't quite handle it. And the Gales respond. BYU in front by 1, 6-5.
Well, if you'll notice, the defense on the right side for BYU has been very active, and that's because St. Mary's sets the ball to the outside so fast. Almost every set is a go set, which is super, super fast. leaving a lot of line open, and the defense for BYU is going to have to just step up and start digging those balls.
McKenna Miller, three-time West Coast Conference Player of the Week this season, unleashes on that ball and gives BYU a big kill. Cougars in front 7-5.
And you love McKenna Miller. She lands and turns and points to her setter, saying, great job, great set, gives that energy away.
Heather Knighting dives down, but it's handled by Ashley. The Gales set up Baca. It's handled by the BYU defense. Kennedy Eschenberg trying to tip shot that over. Knutson down for a dig. And what a dig by Aubrey Dayton to keep that going alive. Abby Dayton, rather. There's McKenna Miller. She'll set Robinson from the 3-meter line. That's handled off the net by Knutson. Back and forth we go, and St. Mary's will not get the hand from a BYU block. Out for a Cougar point. BYU up 8-5.
Pretty long rally, and you like the swing that Robinson out of the back row, firing a really powerful approach on that out-of-system swing.
There's the BYU block. Covering are the Gales. Free ball back to the Cougars on the set from Thompson. Now McKenna Miller will pay it off through the block, and again, Amy, she points right at her setter, Whitney Bauer. That's two beautiful sets to McKenna Miller.
Right, and it's just that reinforcement. Yes, this is good. She doesn't take any of that credit herself. She turns and gives it to her team, and that's what leaders do. And you can see BYU, their quick transition is really starting to just put that pressure on St. Mary's.
Some feet got tangled up there, and that's the second time that BYU's been in good position off a free ball to try and turn it in transition, and it's gone in the favor of the Gales.
Well, and that's why you can see Mary Lake is out on that particular play. She's the one that is supposed to take that second ball, and then when she's not in, then there's a lot of miscommunication on who should step in.
Service to Dayton. Bauer will set Robinson, and that one is hit long. Robinson, plenty of power. She can get up, but she's having some struggles finding that line.
Yeah, but her misses are just misses. So I still think she's playing well and just kind of working it out. Yeah, she has a few too many unforced errors, but she's still, you know, approaching well and confident.
And there's a big ace from St. Mary's in response. Baca delivers to bring the Gales back within one. 3 straight points for St. Mary's to bring it to 9-8. Our scorebox sponsor, Brady Industries, a provider of commercial cleaning supplies and equipment. Baca will serve again, and that one is just long. Service error. Point to BYU. Cougars up 10-8.
BYU rotating into that, one of their highest scoring rotations with Whitney Bauer back to serve. They've got 3 big hitters in the front row and one of their best servers on the line.
That one dives into the net, and BYU returns the favor with a service error and make it 10-9. Whitney Bauer, 4th in aces in BYU women's volleyball freshman history. Off to a fantastic start in her career. And there is another error. So this has quickly become, in the middle part of the first set, the service error part of the game.
Well, definitely. I think as they're kind of feeling each other out, they also are recognizing that serve is very important. You've got to really take a chance back there, get on an aggressive hard swing.
McKenna Miller with her first serve. Bauer, and they're going to get BYU into the net. Point on the violation, back to the Gales, 11-10.
Credit St. Mary's, they're staying in this match. They've been very good at side-out volleyball. They've really extended those rallies, and BYU has helped them with some unforced errors. We've seen a few hitting errors, service errors, and now a in the net. So BYU giving every opportunity, opening the door for St. Mary's to work themselves into this set.
Here is Alexa Parker one more time, trying to tie this thing up in the middle of set 1. Off the block goes Robinson. It's handled. Parker will set Ashley down the left side, and she hits that wide left.
You can see how much space Ashley has. You can see how fast that ball is to the outside. A ton of line to hit into. Even if you don't hit line, you can see the block for BYU was floating into that zone, so you've got an opportunity to tool the block as well.
Parker, back set to Ashley. That's off the block of Robinson and Knighting. And they will say, did that hit off the block first or hit off the antenna first?
I think they're saying, well, clearly from that shot, it was off the block and into the antenna. So this would be one that you would challenge because that's pretty obvious there, but St. Mary's elects not to, and
wow, BYU gifted a point. Well, what goes around comes around, and Mary Lake hits that long, so a point back to the Gales. We'll call that the sportsmanship point. Unintentional. 13-11 BYU. Bauer in the middle to Knighting and a slam dunk kill.
You look at the difference in the beginning of this season to now, and the work especially with Knighting and Bauer. Look how high and quick and how Knighting is able to really hit cross court or wrist away. They've worked so hard in and out of matches to get that down.
It's a second ace for BYU that hit off the top of the net and rolled over. Mary Lake has one. Taylin Ballard has another. The Cougars that quick of 15-11 everywhere. Halloween in Provo. That is a very fitting costume.
That's awesome.
Wilson to welcome us back. And aggressive serving from BYU and Taylin Ballard results in a second overpass kill. This one goes to Heather Knighting. BYU in front 16-11.
Great serve again, forcing that overpass, and a good spot from Knighting with a lot of power to finish it off.
Ballard serves Ashley. It's through the block, but dug by Ballard. Bump set from Bauer to Robinson. Parker there easily. And the Gales will try the other side of the net and run into the block featuring Heather Knighting.
Knighting working hard to get over. Great setup from Bauer to line up perfectly placed block. You can see BYU really serving right down the line to that server's corner, that row one, and that is because they're trying to take out that quick set to the outside. The pass is going to be behind the setter, and it's really tough to get into an offensive rhythm.
17-12 BYU. Aubrey Pitts will serve for St. Mary's. Bauer, not much she could do with that. And it results in an easy kill for Heather Knighting with no block up. Both teams out of system.
Well, and BYU, you can see coming back out of that initial back and forth to start this set, have really broken away. They've started to extend their lead and get a nice run of points.
18-12, the Cougars in front by 6. Timeout, Rob Browning and St. Mary's. We'll take the break with them and continue our live West Coast Conference women's volleyball coverage as part of our BYU TV collaboration. Team Boise State to get their third win of the season, try and make it 2 rivalry wins in a row against Utah State at Maverick Stadium in Logan. Captain Jack Sparrow soaking in some volleyball. This is always an entertaining crowd. Anytime we have one of these Halloween broadcasts. Parker. Cross-court set. Off the block, there's Lake, and Heather Knighting is having herself a night right now for BYU. Knighting with 5 kills.
Right, and she's working hard too. You can see on this play, it's tough. And as a middle, you've got to block and then hurry and get off the net and get available out of transition. And she was locking eyes on Whitney Bauer that whole time, making herself available.
Knighting hitting perfectly here in the first set. 5 kills and 2 blocks. Gales desperate for a point, and that goes wide left from Baca.
And you just feel how fast. I mean, I've said it 100 times, but it's as if that set to the outside for St. Mary's is getting faster and faster and faster, almost to the point where those outside hitters are late getting there. Taylor Salsinga, an aggressive server. Tough pass, and not much Baca could do with that either. The points just being gifted to BYU right now. And the Gales trying to find some type of rhythm. They're down 21-12. St. Mary's hitting -143, BYU at 318. Tossing again off the top of the net. Parker, back set. Too long, but the Gales will recover the tip shot from Sienna Young. No problem for the Cougars. McKenna Miller off the block. And there is Abby Dayton setting up McKenna Miller. Nice dig. But the overpass is put down
by that front wall of McKenna Miller and Heather Knighting.
And this first set almost looking identical to the first time these two teams met, as we get a good look at that long rally and to finish it off another overpass kill. But this is almost identical, and so we can look for much different second and third set, and you can bet BYU is remembering that as well, as they hope to just continue to stay tough and not open the door.
The Gales have scored 13 points in this first set to BYU's 22, and of those 13 points, 5 have been given to them on service errors from the Cougars.
Well, and then count the other errors as well, the hitting errors and the net. And so when BYU started to settle down and not make errors, then that was hard because St. Mary's wasn't getting real points on their own.
Scramble effort from the Gales. The slide for the first time, and Knighting goes just wide right. 22-14. Cougars siding out at about 64%. St. Mary's at just 39%. And there is a service error from the Gales. Their third of the match. And third of this first set, 23-14. And we'll have a timeout on the floor. And keep it here as Heather Olmstead looks to close out this first set in decisive fashion. Up 23-14 right now. The storyline really, BYU hitting 259 after they calmed down to St. Mary's negative 125. What do the Gales need to do to try and find that rhythm that they got in Moraga against BYU, where they were able to push the Cougars into extra points?
Right, and like they need to find it right now. Obviously, they're not going to win this first set, but they've got to get something going. And I think they've just been on the defensive all the time. What's hard is that you look at the personnel, and for BYU, they are fortunate that they have some big, heavy arms that can get them kills when they are in transition. Right now for St. Mary's, they can get the ball up defensively, but they're really struggling offensively to get those kills and finish it off.
The Smith Fieldhouse on Halloween night, featuring all sorts of costumes. I'll just leave it at that. BYU and San Diego atop the West Coast Conference. Both 9.
Back on that ball, throwing it deep to the corner. Most setters just go right over the net, but she's attacking those deep corners.
Heather Knighting serving for the first set, but that's long. And that is the 6th service error for BYU in set 1, but the Cougars still in complete control of 24-15. Baca played off the net by Bauer. Dayton will send it over. Free ball for St. Mary's. They go to Ashley. Handled the first time. Another roll shot. Now McKenna Miller's turn. That's off the block. Ashley one more time. Off the soft block, handled by Mary Lake. McKenna Miller, and she hits it long. 24. No, they give the touch to St. Mary's, and the kill will go to McKenna Miller, who finishes that opening frame with 4 kills on 7 total attacks.
Great example right now of what makes BYU so good. As we get a good look at that kill from McKenna.
Second set.
Right, you could see just how open that line was. Terrific set. Everything about that play was great, but BYU's defense just stole that kill from St. Mary's.
Well, what a dig by McKenna Miller initially off of Aubrey Pitts. Now Miller from the 10-foot line scores, and it's 2-0. McKenna Miller and Heather Knighting having the type of All-American nights that we're used to seeing them put together.
Well, and McKenna Miller doesn't play a ton of backcourt. She just stays in when she's serving, but already making an impact. Getting a kill, getting a dig, and serving very tough.
Robinson, tip shot. No problem for Sienna Young. Parker will set Pitts. Free ball to the Cougars. Kennedy Eschenberg. And Whitney Bauer making quick work there in the middle with Eschenberg and Knighting.
Well, I think quick is the operative word there. Bauer is off quick, and her hitters are up and ready very, very fast, and that is causing problems for the defense.
Service error from Miller there gives St. Mary's their first point in set number 2. It's 3-1. Alexa Parker back to serve for St. Mary's. She opened the match from the service line. To Mary Lake. Bauer, back set, Ballard. Good recovery by Ashley. She'll wind up through the block. Riley Lyman digs that. Robinson is blocked. Bauer, quick behind set. Ballard can't score, and now Ashley trying to get over Eschenberg and Ballard, and the BYU block is just imposing their will right now. 4 blocks on the match now for BYU, none for St. Mary's.
All right, and for St. Mary's, they knew coming into the second set they've got to be more dynamic, more offensive, but it's as if the BYU block took note of that and has upped their game.
There is the best swing of the match for Sienna Young, and it's not close.
Sienna Young actually led in kills the last time these two teams played. She had a great night, and she's a player that can really get going. She usually plays on the right side, but can get kills on the left as well.
First kill on 7 swings in the match. Taylor Ballard trying to go down the line. Knudsen with the dig right there. And there is block number 5 from BYU. Ballard and Knighting are a wall on the right side of the net right now.
Well, and I think they're moving well along the net, and they're really getting up into great position. And so for St. Mary's, they've got to raise their sights.
Ballard to serve. Ace, as that one just finds that back line. 3rd ace of the match for BYU. The latest from Taylor Ballard Nixon. And an error to follow it up. 6-3 BYU in set 2. The Cougars took the opening set 25-15. Ballard out of the rotation. Pitch to serve. Has Mary Lake. Whitney Bauer on the slide, and Heather Knighting has her 6th kill to lead all players in the match tonight.
Heather Knighting again, and you see this is just allowing her to move well. The sets are right there on the slide. She can pick up that ball at any moment, recognizing that that block was drifting. She makes the smart choice to just use those hands out of bounds.
Whitney Bauer, 10 assists tonight, takes her to 700 on the season. Knudsen to Parker. And there's another solid response from St. Mary's. Baca this time finding a seam in the BYU block.
Baca, just a freshman, very young, but has a really big ceiling. She's going to be a great player. She's got good technique, and she's just kind of learning this game and getting better each time she steps on the floor.
The BYU Cougars trying to win their 12th straight match against St. Mary's. And more importantly, stay tied with San Diego atop the West Coast Conference. Both teams 9-1 coming into tonight. McKenna Miller is blocked, and that one just misses. The Gales still searching for that first denial for a point.
Well, and a good swing again. McKenna Miller just makes such great choices. She knows exactly what the block is doing in front of her in the defense.
Knighting to serve. BYU up 8-4, set 2. Off the block goes Selby Christensen. BYU's defense in position. Miller forced to push that down the line. And an easy block for McKenna Miller there with Kennedy Eschenberg.
Well, with that set going really tight to the net, there's not a lot you can do offensively. And McKenna Miller in good position, great block, and just forces that down.
We just saw what Baca is capable of when she gets a favorable set. But again, BYU, while they maintain a comfortable lead with their aggressive service style, they have offered up 9 service errors on the match.
I think aggressive is a generous term. I think they're missing a few too many. But like you said, their side-out game is strong right now, so they can feel comfortable going back and maybe taking some chances.
Nice play from Whitney Bauer right there to go up with the jump set, knowing that she was going to put that down all the way with where that ball was coming down. 10-5. Ashley, dug by Miller. Maddie Robinson will go right back to Miller. McKenna Miller cleaning it up for BYU.
Right, and that's what's so great about Miller is that it's an out-of-system play. That set was coming from the back row, and Miller's able to take a crack at it with a lot of power. That's really, really tough to do, and she's able to get a kill.
Ashley set Baca from that back line. Mary Lake to Ballard. And Ballard long on that one, deep and left. So the unforced error will make it 11-6. BYU in front by 5. They won the opening set by 10. Abigail Motoso to serve for St. Mary's. Serves Miller. Quick set in the middle from Bauer to Eschenberg. 12-6 BYU.
Matoso with a really tough serve that is handled beautifully by McKenna Miller, allowing Eschenberg to get in this match. You tell BYU really trying to dial up their middles as much as possible.
McKenna Miller on the serve, and BYU with another block. Eschenberg and Ballard all over that one. 7 blocks for the match for the Cougars. None for St. Mary's. And the BYU middles really asserting themselves tonight between Ballard, Eschenberg, and Knighting. Off the soft block. Miller will set it. Bauer. Oh, what a heady play by Whitney Bauer, the freshman, and she has her second kill. Make that 3 now.
You see the defense took their eyes off their set a little too early, and Bauer makes them pay. They were already moving back, getting into their defensive positions, and lost sight of the second contact.
Set from Thompson to Ashley. Bauer lays out to keep that ball up. Mary Lake goes into the fans and slow to get up. I'm not sure why they called that ball dead.
BYU was in the net.
Okay. Big swing and kill from Kennedy Eschenberg on that quick set. We'll try and figure out what just happened a few moments ago. They whistled into the net. All of our attention was focused on Whitney Bauer and Mary Lake chasing down that ball.
Yeah, tremendous effort. And they called the play, but called net really early.
Score stands at 14-7. Alexa Parker will serve for the Gales. Goes at Robinson. Overpass. Nice cover by Bauer to keep that ball alive. Now Bauer, Lake, and Bauer. Ball high into the Smith Fieldhouse roof area. Nice dig by Knudsen. And they're going to get the Gales into the net. Point BYU. That's applauded by Heather Olmstead. She loves the effort from her team as they take a 15-7 lead.
Great job from Bauer again. She is running all over the floor and then finishing it off. Ballard, Nixon, able to draw the net.
About Whitney Bauer's line tonight. Way too much, but that is the case. That is the burden that parents bear on Halloween, right?
Well, then I just take it home and that's what I give out. Because I'm cheap.
I need to talk to you about this. It's an excellent idea. Riley Lyman trying to hit that over from well behind the 3-meter line. BYU out of system, and it's into the net. Point for St. Mary's out of the timeout. 15-8. BYU in control. Won the first set 25-15, and now up 7 here. Brianne Ashley serves to Lyman. Bauer in the middle. Knighting is dug by Knudsen. And Bauer goes to Knighting one more time. She switches up the angle, goes to her left, and scores just the same.
Right, great middles can hit either way, and that is just frustrating for blockers who are trying to line up on their favorite shot. Knighting can work it either corner.
BYU hitting .333 for the match. Coming in, they were ranked number 26 in the country in hit percentage. Oh my goodness. I mean, Amy Gant.
Well, look at the eyes on all the other players for BYU as Mary Lake runs from left back to pick up that ball right over the block.
Just how?
Incredible move. Lake is everywhere.
I've seen her do some pretty incredible things. And Heather Knighting, not too shabby on the solo block right there for BYU.
But from left back the corner, she pops that ball up.
It's not just that, but it's nice soft pop.
Oh, it's a perfect up.
It's
yeah.
perfect.
It's not just a touch that you're like, wow, bravo running that down. No, they transition it for the kill.
Off the block on the quick set, there is Parker to Aubrey Pitts, who has her first kill of the match, and it comes midway through set number 2.
Well, I think the offense for St. Mary's just struggling to find any sort of opening in this set so far.
Maddie Robinson. Robinson with her 3rd kill.
And BYU has just been so dynamic, so powerful on every swing that St. Mary's is always on the defensive. They can't change into being on the offense because they're just back on their heels and battling all the tough swings that are coming their way.
That kill off the block of O'Sullivan and Young for Robinson. And Tausinga gave a good effort but couldn't quite get the pancake dig, and a good response from St. Mary's to make it 19-10. Baca with her 3rd kill of the match. Thompson back to serve, and that one will sail long and deep left.
And the challenge right now for BYU is to not look at the scoreboard, and the challenge for St. Mary's is to not look at the scoreboard. Each of these teams need to just go out and play their game. BYU has got to stay committed to just finishing it off and not get complacent. And St. Mary's has just got to battle regardless of what the scoreboard says.
20-10, BYU doubling up the Gales in set number 2 right now. They won the opening set 25-15. Kiani Moyai with the pancake no. That ball got a piece of the floor. And a nice dump kill from St. Mary's to catch BYU in a rare instance on their heels.
Right, it's always, you want defensively to get back and in position, and sometimes you cheat a little bit and start looking at your hitters before the setter has set the ball.
Thompson credited with that kill on the slide. Eschenberg tip shot off that soft block, fingertips and down. Kennedy Eschenberg with her 3rd kill. Whitney Bauer doing a nice job of distribution tonight, spreading it all over the floor.
Including herself. Occasionally.
And she's got 4 kills, you're right. Bauer serving with the left hand to Ashley. O'Sullivan off the block. And McKenna Miller can do no wrong tonight.
Right, that's another play where by all accounts that should not be a kill swing. But because she takes a little bit off of it, hits it about 80%, but places it perfectly. I mean, look at the position of her body. There's no reason that ball should fall. But her location choice is the perfect shot.
Touch on the ball, the spin. And there is an ace for the Cougars, their 4th of the match, courtesy of Whitney Bauer. She has been fantastic as a freshman server. 2 aces tonight. 4 kills, 17 assists, 2 blocks. Really another ace. Ashley will send it back over. Free ball to BYU. Mary Lake. Bauer goes to Eschenberg. Nice dig by Thompson. Tight to the net. The block is there, so St. Mary's can reset. O'Sullivan sends it over. There's Maddie Robinson. Bauer to McKenna Miller. And McKenna Miller leads everyone with 8 kills now.
And Miller again showing the range of shots she has. This time just tight inside the block. Surprising the defense again.
Match point for BYU at 24-11. Bauer to serve for set 2. And they give the point to BYU. I thought that might have hit a fingertip, but Selby Christensen hits it wide left, and BYU dominates in set 2, 25-11.
See, on that last swing, it may have caught a couple fingers there on Eschenberg, but that match, that set, these first 2 is completely in BYU's hands.
I think that got her pinky. Not that it would make much of a difference given the way that lopsided set went, but still, it's a couple of times that BYU's caught a break. 25-11 in set number 2. BYU will go for the sweep next.
Fortunately, nobody was hurt.
Lake to serve, goes with the jump float, and that is just a nasty serve. Another ace for BYU and another ace for Mary Lake.
Not only is that short, but it is right over the net. You couldn't have placed that better. Such a tough spot.
You can drop it inside the 3-meter line. That's almost unfair. And the Gales whistled for the violation as Knighting was there.
Well, I think anytime that ball's right on top of the tape and a setter's going up to try to save it, you know it's going to be called back row attack or over. And everything going BYU's way, so why not?
Mary Lake with another ace. 6 aces for BYU tonight. And we're early in the 3rd set. The Cougars out to a 4-0 lead here in set 3, trying to close out the sweep. Lake, this time, Pitts is ready for it, and Ashley finally able to get a clean swing in system and take it off that BYU block.
Right, Pitts steps in, takes that short ball, allowing her team to finally get their offense going. And when they do get that pass up to the net, it's a quick set to the outside. It's really actually tough to stop.
There's the first block of the night from St. Mary's, and it comes from Aubrey Pitts. You can see the frustration, the emotion finally coming out on that Gale side.
Well, I think St. Mary's is a team with a lot of new players, very young players, but they have a few senior leaders as well, and Pitts is one of them.
Taylon Ballard answers back. Goes at Ashley. Over the block and advantage BYU, 5-2. Taylon Ballard-Nixon with her 4th kill. She's got 2 aces, 2 digs, and 3 blocks as well. I mean, we got some stat sheet stuffers tonight. Ballard bump set, Maddie Robinson. How good was that?
Well, it was almost a miscommunication. You could see everybody deciding who was going to take that second ball, and Nixon stepped in and actually put a beautiful set to the outside that Robinson could get up and hammer.
Well, it was Whitney Bauer screaming at her, "That's you, that's you," yes. Another ace for BYU. It is a service show in Provo. Nixon with 3 aces.
And you can tell that everyone really mixing it up as well. That very tough flat serve with a lot of float is putting the defense in tough position.
Nixon flirting with another one right there, but that one denied by the net. That'll go as a service error, and it's 7-3 BYU in set 3. Pitch to serve for St. Mary's. Bauer looking for her 5th kill. The dump doesn't work that time, but the block absolutely effective. Robinson and Knighting.
Yikes. Anytime St. Mary's decides they want to just get after it and swing hard, the block for BYU is right there. Robinson taking away that line, pressing back to the middle of the court. Great position.
8 blocks for BYU, 1 for St. Mary's. Our scorebox sponsor, Brady Industries, a provider of commercial cleaning supplies and equipment. Parker goes outside to Baca. And that is another error for the Gales. Point to BYU, 9-3.
Baca really struggling to find her groove, sitting negative 250 as she's just unable to find a way to get past that block.
McKenna Miller not going to get the touch this time, and one of the rare errors that we've seen McKenna Miller with tonight. Just misses, and Heather Olmstead thinks that that ball might have hit the back line. She'll offer up a coach's challenge.
Well, I think looking at McKenna Miller's stats, 8 for 14, hitting 500. It's likely that she was able to catch some fingers, but it depends on what she called. If she's looking for that back line.
Well, you see the pinky right there of Sienna Young move just a bit, and that ball is long, but if they're looking,
it depends on what they're looking for.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
If they're looking for the line or the touch, and it looks clear that there is a touch there. And you see the ball, the spin of the ball start to go a little bit of a sideways movement.
I didn't see what was signaled, but if it was called, is that ball in the back court, and you see a touch, it doesn't matter. If you just called for looking at the back line, then it wouldn't matter if you saw a touch.
So that ball is clearly long from the review angles that we have.
The down official Les Callis checking out, making that decision. This is the first challenge we've had all match, and the first opportunity probably for St. Mary's to take a breath, as BYU just kind of came out of the gate serving tough on the offensive, and St. Mary's really never having an opportunity to find a groove.
Be the judge. It looks like it hits both pinkies on O'Sullivan and Young. Does that ball not hit both pinkies from both players?
Yeah, I think it's clear there was a touch, but like I said, I don't know specifically what was asked for. If it was close to the back line as well, so what did Heather Olmstead ask for?
Well, they're taking their time, that's for sure. 9-4 BYU. If you're just joining us, the Cougars won set 1 25-15, took the second frame in even more dominant fashion, 25-11. And BYU has already built a 5-point lead in set 3. It may become more lopsided if it goes in favor of the Cougars. It would make it 10-3. And it is a point to BYU, so a successful challenge for Heather Olmstead. They do call the touch.
So that's what they were asking for, and of course McKenna Miller, who can do no wrong tonight, is gonna get some fingers on that ball.
So give Miller 9 kills on 14 swings. Palsinga, BYU continues that pressure from the service line. Bauer out to Miller, off the block, handled this time. Baca, dug by Dayton. Bauer goes back to Miller, pushes it down the line. Parker in position. The bump set for Sienna Young, and that's well long and over the hands from the block. 11-3 BYU. The 11th ranked Cougars dominating. Overpass kill for Heather Knighting, and she has 9 kills.
Well, and how many of those are a result of the great service pressure forcing overpasses, which as a middle, it's like candy. It's better than anything to get those overpasses, and to have 4 in one night is just incredible.
Off the block, Dayton. Funky spin on that ball, and immediately as she went to pass that ball, told herself, I should have set that. But I'm not sure.
I don't think she should have set
what happened.
Yeah, she just needed to turn and pop it up. Just to, those things happen. There's a lot of spin. It's how quick do you bounce back? Next play, next play.
12-4 BYU trying to close out the sweep. Bauer, cross-court set, McKenna Miller. MC Hammer into double figures with 10 kills.
the offense that BYU has brought to this particular match has been unbelievable. Great choices, always turning it around and attacking from wherever they are on the floor.
That's hit long as well. Selby Christensen can't solve the BYU defense.
And just when St. Mary's has an opportunity, that was actually a great play. It was fast to the outside. There was a hole in the block. They attacked the seam and just missed with the air.
McKenna Miller. And another aggressive and successful serve from BYU, specifically Heather Knighting. Timeout on the floor. It is all BYU in set 3, 15-4. The Cougars up 2-0, closing in on another sweep here in West Coast Conference play. Showing it tonight. Dominating the St. Mary's Gales. Up 2-0, 25-15, 25-11, and all over St. Mary's here in set 3, up 15-4. Heather Knighting still serving for the Cougars. There's a stab dig that is kept up and pushed back over by Miller. O'Sullivan is stuffed by Eschenberg.
Two great plays from Eschenberg in that rally. She gets the ball out of the net, gets low, and then gets up and over, and you could see her drop that left arm. She read that kill all the way. Such a beautiful block.
10 blocks for BYU now as a team. Eschenberg with 4. Cougars defense lights out right now. Down low, and finally the Gales able to record a kill. Knighting just about got that dig.
It's only their second kill of this set. Incredible. Oh, third, I should say. So offense for St. Mary's just really can't find their groove. Hopefully they can put something together this latter half of this set.
McKenna Miller now with 11 kills on 18 swings. Whitney Bauer serving. And Bauer with an error. She's been BYU's most impressive server this year. In multiple matches has served up as many as 5 aces. Tonight's been Taylin Ballard-Nixon, who has already tied her career high in the match with 3 aces. He's done some nice things for Heather Olmstead tonight. Kenna Miller is telling Coach Olmstead that was clearly in, and from our vantage points, it looked like it was clearly in. It was called out, and so Olmstead's going to challenge one more time. Why wouldn't you when McKenna Miller is telling you that was in as well? Oh, and that ball is clearly all over the line. That one's going to go in favor of BYU and make it 18-6. As it stands, 17-7. The point was given to St. Mary's. This review should not take very long. So Miller, hoping that this call will go in her favor, as it should, to give her a 12th kill. BYU as a team hitting .429. No. Yes. Okay. For a moment, I thought he signaled that it was a point to St. Mary's.
I think he was pointing that ball was in.
Okay. So he signals in, and then rewards the point to BYU. 18-6. McKenna Miller now with 12 kills, hitting a cool .632.
You know, usually volleyball matches are like roller coasters, and you kind of ride out a momentum swing from a team. But this particular match, BYU has been like a freight train, and poor St. Mary's just has not had an opening to work themselves back into any of these first 3 sets.
The Cougars hitting .571 this set to St. Mary's -214. And it's not much different for the entire match. BYU at .423, St. Mary's at -90.
Well, you talk about the difference in offensive production. McKenna Miller has 12 kills, and the whole St. Mary's team has 13 total.
Nixon with the tip, and that will go in favor of BYU.
Kaylin Ballard-Nixon with 5 kills. She's got 3 aces, 2 digs, 3 blocks.
Kate Grimmer into the match as BYU starts to kind of work in different players to make sure they can get some on-the-court experience.
Riley Lyman with the dig on Pitts, and they'll get Bauer.
I think
was she into the net? Or they call a double hit on her.
They called a double, but I think they only called a double because it was such an awkward angle, because actually the ball came out really nicely out of her hands, but it's one of those where they look and think, no, nobody can set it that well, but she actually did.
There is Grimmer into the block of Aubrey Pitts and Elena Baca. Just the second block for St. Mary's in this match compared to BYU's 10. Overpass kill.
St. Mary's with their first 2-point put together mini run. Could this be an opportunity for them to get some momentum on their side?
19-10. Ashley will serve again, and another good one. Bauer sets from the knees, and that one's hit wide left by Grimmer. 3-0 run for the Gales.
Grimmer trying to attack that big seam in the block with that left hand. You see there's not a lot of spin on that ball. It's more like a float serve.
Ooh, and there will be a challenge from Heather Olmstead again.
That one looked just out, though, from my perspective on the full other side of the court.
The Cougars 6 points away from a decisive sweep on their home floor, and what would be their 19th victory of the season. Grimmer searching for that deep left corner. This is the best angle we have right here. And,
oh, that's so
man,
hard.
I just, is there enough to overturn that call?
If it tagged the line, it was just the corner of it. It looks a little more out than in. And St. Mary's really needs something to go their way in this match.
Riley Lyman bailed out by Lake there. Free ball back to the Gales. Parker goes in the middle to O'Sullivan, and they get St. Mary's into the net. Point BYU.
One of the first free balls that BYU's been forced to give all night long. They're usually able to turn some sort of swing on that play. A really quick transition from St. Mary's, and then just a little bit too much from O'Sullivan, who gets caught in the net.
Maddie Robinson back to serve, up 23-12. BYU 2 points away from closing things out at the Smith Fieldhouse. Well played off the block. And the Gales back to within 10 here late in set number 3. There is a kill. BYU 1 point away from win number 1300. Whitney Lorenis off the block and down.
Freshman middle blocker from Bountiful, Utah gets into the match, gets a chance to serve as well as hit and block.
Serving for the match, and it's long, and that'll do it. BYU closes out the sweep, 25-13. The Cougars all over the Gales.
Solid performance all the way around. We talked earlier at the beginning of the broadcast about consistency, and BYU continued to put that pressure on St. Mary's the entire night. They never let up, and that never allowed the Gales to really find their rhythm.
So some happy